saying they create the governance structure, and then we get these people together, we task them to do some benchmarking, and then they get into requirements. What is it that we need? So that they present to us stage by stage. The only challenge is what Dr. Saindimu there has raised, that we are not at the same level, all of us. Some, maybe you could be, one country could be considering upgrading or moving to a new system. What does that mean? Is this going to be fast enough to meet the needs of such a country? Because like, I believe like Kenya right now, we know our ITAC is already tired, and we want to retire her and get into another more versatile system. The question is, can this move at the pace? Because we have to address our need. Can it move at the pace to meet that particular need? Maybe, I don't know, Uganda seems to have spent some good money. Probably the years is a little bit younger and versatile. I don't know. Ours has reached the age of retirement. We just need to, we are thinking of now getting a more versatile system. So I think we just needed to understand that a little bit. What are we at the same need level? Can we begin this process? How will we go about it? Putting together that team, getting into some basic study, what we call benchmarking, to determine what we need. Because like now we are trying to see what is in India, because I think we have similar problems. What is it, we are asking ourselves now as KRA, what is available out there for us to upgrade to? More versatile, that is, will meet the needs of the day. So we just need that analysis needs to come out a little bit clearer, that where, we have seen all the systems, but you did not tell us whether each of the countries now, what are their plans moving forward? Are they retiring? Are they upgrading? Are they maintaining the status? So that then we see how do we move forward. But I am a strong believer that the teams we have are capable. They only need, once we resolve those issues, they need to be put together through a governance framework. We put them somewhere. We agree on how we are going to go about it, lock them somewhere, and give them the job, and give them milestones if that is where we are. If that is our need, all of us, we deal with the issues, putting together the teams, then defining their governance structure, how are we going to fund them, we give them milestones. Like Tanzania did with that system they were presenting to us yesterday. If they waited for that vendor, they wouldn't have realized the potential of the expertise they have in their country. But before we get there, we need to understand, is this, if it's going to take 2 years to develop, are we able to use our systems as they are for the next 2 years as we wait for this? Like us, we are almost getting into that new phase of getting a younger, a brand new system that is versatile, that is going to be now the support tax administration 3.0, taxation at source. That's what we are thinking. So we needed to have that understanding. But I am a strong, strong believer that we do not have to be paying huge amounts of money to foreigners who keep us chained, and we keep on paying them money, working for them, yet our ICT people have come of age. They are actually able to do these things. Yeah? And we are in the process of enhancing the number of developers we have. We want to recruit probably 100 of them, put them somewhere in a development school, keep training them, develop them to the highest level, because it's very difficult to attract developers from outside. They are too expensive. Our salaries cannot support these people. But we can develop ours internally, train them. If when they go, that's fine. But we will retain a sufficient pool to help us. So I don't know whether we have really analyzed where we are as countries. Because Burundi, so they don't have their system is locally developed, internally developed. What are they thinking next? Uganda, with the $10 million you have spent, are you willing to spend any more, or are you now enjoying the fruits of your money? Kenya, ours is old enough. We need a younger one. It can't dance anymore. Rwanda, where are you? South Sudan, where are they? TRA, they are not applicable, not applicable. I didn't understand. How can a system be zero? Are you not providing is there no way of estimating even when you spend money? Because there was man-hours developed, used, and resources used. They can be quantified so that we understand it can't be zero. Nobody has anything for zero or not applicable. It can be quantified. So those are my thoughts. But I would like to see a clarity in roadmap, starting with our needs. If we are all agreeing we are moved, then it means we can use what we have for some time. And then how do we resource this? Then we task. We go back, get the relevant approvals, and then we task. This team is very knowledgeable. I am losing very young developers to the blue chip companies, the Googles and the Microsoft and others, every other day, meaning that we have the capacity to do it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Comrade CG KRA. You have really nailed this. There's no better way of putting the urgency of moving with clarity and precision on this matter. Just to put the Uganda's context, the story, really we are not happy. We spent so much, but I don't think we have the value. But we've learned our lessons, so we are quickly working on replacing that system. But when this idea came in to work together as a region and as a continent, we now are waiting to move together so that we are in tandem with the rest. We are ready to replace this system. It did not only cost us much when we acquired it, it costs us much up today to maintain because we don't own the source code. So there are delays when we want changes. There are exorbitant charges when you need any changes. So if anyone wants to learn from a bad example, come, we'll share with you the nasty experience we've gone through with this system. But also looking at the examples of homegrown solution where you own source code and others, we want to go with you so that we don't repeat any mistake. So I agree with your observations, James, that we need the team to give us more information on where each country is standing, and we are ready to dedicate these resources to this effort so that we move fast enough. We are all tired, we want to change, and how can we change very quickly without missing any step or any benefit from what other countries are doing. So we will allow Jacob to finish his presentation, and then if we have any additional questions. Okay, I see Comrade Patrick. Please ask your question, and then we'll return this to Jacob.
Thank you, Chair, and the presenter. Good morning, everybody. I just also wanted to reflect on this and maybe also provide some thoughts on the way forward. Particularly, I wanted to tie this to our efforts on harmonization of domestic taxes. Since we are talking of a regional platform, there has, I think for me, some sort of harmonization is a prerequisite. As it has been stated, we are at different stages, and the costs of these ICT systems are extremely high. If I can refer to what we are going through in South Sudan, we are estimating to spend close to $30 million for DTD and custom system, for both systems in the next 2 to 3 years. $30 million, so it is that high. And therefore, I see really the benefit of having a common regional platform, but which would be our vision of what we want to be. And therefore, for example, if Kenya can reach there in 1 year or 2 years, maybe South Sudan will reach there in 3 or 4 years' time. But at least we have that that vision of a regional DTD platform. But my key point here is I wanted to link the work that is being done by this particular subcommittee, ICT, with what is being done in the DTD subcommittee on harmonization. So the urgency for me of harmonization is really high. Let us move also fast on the harmonization so that we have some sort of commonalities in our domestic tax processes, core processes, and then we can move to a regional ICT platform for domestic tax administration. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Unless if there's a comment from here, then I think Jacob will proceed, then we'll pick other comments later.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, CGs and all my colleagues. The second presentation is about data governance policy. So just to give you a brief background, we all have a lot of systems, and all these systems are generating a lot of data. And the CGs were concerned because today, data and data utilization, it has strategic importance to all organizations. So the CGs were asking, this data that we are churning out every day, are we using it? So that is where the assignment started. And the CGs wanted that we need to promote the usage of data for decision-making in East Africa revenue authorities because we have a lot of data, and this is where our strategic strength lies. So we did research on data usage in East Africa Revenue Authority, East Africa revenue authorities, and what we found is that the revenue authorities have a lot of data, and we also have a data warehouse and business intelligence systems, but the use of data for decision-making is still low. Okay, we still rely on other means for making decisions, not necessarily data. So we are then asked, why do we have this low data usage in the revenue authorities? And we realize that it's because a number of our authorities have not implemented data governance policies. So in the 47th EARACG's meeting, the CGs agreed to jointly develop a data governance policy to promote the usage of data for decision-making. So the ICT Technical Committee have developed a template for data governance policies, which can be used and can also be help to standardize the data governance in the region. So where are we in terms of our data governance policy? So currently it's URA and KRA that have a data governance policy that has been signed and approved. TRA have drafted one. They need to do the signing and the approval. OBR and RRA are still working on a policy, and ZRA have not yet developed one. So what are the challenges of data utilization in East Africa revenue authorities? Because we are realizing that data is of strategic importance, but we are not using. What is the challenge? So one of the first challenges was that there was lack of data governance policy. And the reason for this, of course, as you've already indicated, some are not signed, some are not developed, and so on. So this is a major issue. And then there are also data integrity challenges, particularly systems that are not yet properly integrated. There is data inconsistency and poor data integrity. There's also skills gap in terms of how to utilize this data on analytics. So issues like big data, machine learning, and automation, those are skills that we still need to increase in our revenue authorities. And then there's also a lack of data culture. Data culture basically is about accepting that data is what can give you fact-based decision-making. We still make decisions based on other, like experience or other authorities, as opposed to actually looking at what the data is saying. So that is lack of data culture. And then you also have a high staff turnover for the experts that are involved in our data analytics and data warehouse sections, which CG KRA also alluded to. What is the data governance policy implementation approach? This is just a rough approach that we can use. So the first thing, of course, is to include data culture in the corporate plans. We all have our corporate plans, whether 3 or 5 years. So this is to ensure that there is senior management ownership and support. We also need to assess the data governance readiness for each RA, do a survey, review them, do also benchmarking from the best in the region, and then lessons learned, so that you can see the gap, do a gap analysis and know how far, what you need to do. And then, of course, we need to create a team that is going to be in charge of data governance, give them responsibilities, define their skills and experience, and then build capacity. After that, then you can draft a data governance policy. And here is where the data governance policy template comes in. The way we develop the template is we looked at what KRA has and what URA has, and we identified what is in common so that we make sure that the people who use this template can benefit from the experience of those two revenue authorities. So you need to identify data governance principles and then implement. After it has been done, then it needs to be approved. What's the purpose of this data governance template? So the first thing is to standardize data governance policies, because they can also be very, very different. The other objective is to promote the usage of data for decision-making in East Africa revenue authorities, and then guide the revenue authorities who do not yet have data governance policies, and build modern tax administrations which leverage on data for risk identification and profiling. Just to give you an idea of what this data governance policy contains, we have the policy statement, the objectives, the scope, and then there's also a review cycle. It needs to be reviewed over time. We also have guiding principles, data governance development process. So whoever uses this template will have the benefit of having the guidance on all these areas. The data quality life cycle, which normally includes cleaning and taking it to the data warehouse. And then it starts from the generation of data to the collection, processing, storage, management, analysis, and visualization. Visualization, of course, is the final point where you're using data for decision support systems. That's where you have the dashboarding and the analytics done. And then you also have the data governance and organization structure and the enforcement of data governance policy, and then the implementation approach. So we have this in a Word document that can be shared upon your approval, so that the revenue authorities who don't have this data governance policy can just borrow from this and they be able to benefit from the experiences of those who have. So our recommendation to the CGs is that we adopt this data